tonight for our member spotlight segment that showcases our members and their upcoming projects. So tonight, our spotlight is on two of our newest members, actress, author, and executive producer Mallian Butler, along with executive producer Mahalia Jackson-Butler, to discuss their film, Powers, Book One, that premieres this Saturday. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. We're excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. What a wonderful opportunity. And I just wanted to say hi again. And we're just going to go ahead and get started. Just a casual conversation like girlfriends, catching up. So, Mallian, 15, you're an author,
Yes.
executive producer, and actress. I could never fathom that multifaceted at a young age of 15. What is that like?
Well, it's as passionate as I am about what I do. It's definitely an amazing feeling, just putting in the work to do what I love and what I'm so passionate about every day is always a blessing and just a great all-around experience. It definitely is good to make sure I keep myself zen and centered and on a nice schedule to make sure I don't get too overwhelmed because I do have a very busy everyday life. But other than that, I'm loving it. I'm just living in the moment.
That's awesome. So, how old were you when you started acting? Of the three, is acting your first love?
I was 10 years old when I first started acting. I've been in this entertainment industry for 5 years now. That's crazy to say out loud. And acting is definitely my first love. It's my whole heart. That's number one on my list. And I've just been so passionate about it since before I could even remember. And, I've always known my whole life, like, this is what I want to do, and this is what I plan on doing for the rest of my life.
Awesome. What was your first major role?
My first major role was Blackish, actually. And it was a recent role that most of you may know me from. I played Ashley, girlfriend. And something that's kind of crazy about that role is Blackish was the main show that I wanted to be on. And the one role that I specifically wanted is the one that I got. So when I got the call that I was going to be playing Jack's girlfriend, the role that I really, really wanted, it was kind of like a full circle moment. It was just so surreal, and it was just an amazing feeling and experience that I'll never forget and I'll treasure for a lifetime.
Absolutely. Talk about the power of manifestation. You were able to get the role that you desired. What an amazing testimony of the power of manifestation. I find that to be absolutely fascinating. So we just talked about Blackish, and I was just doing some research, and you and your role, and there's a lot of similarities between you and Marseille Martin, both Texas natives, both executive producers. Is she an inspiration, and how does it feel if she is an inspiration and someone you look up to have been on the same show as her?
She is definitely a huge inspiration to me, and she has been since I first discovered Blackish many, many years ago. And, just being able to work with her and talk with her, it was like an instant connection, and we instantly hit it off because, we do have so many similarities. And, she is a bit older than me, so she definitely is an inspiration and someone that I look up to as a Black woman in this industry. And, everything about it was just so amazing and such a wonderful experience being able to really connect with her, someone that I share so much with.
Wow. Once again, what an amazing story. And Miss Mahalia, I have tons of questions for you too.
Sure.
So excited, to see a mom and daughter together doing amazing things like producing a film. And we're going to get into that later. I just want to know how the idea came about and what is it like. I can ask you now, a mother and daughter, you have both a personal relationship as mom and daughter, but then it goes on to a business relationship as we discuss or talk about executive producing a film together. How do you manage your relationship, the dynamics of that relationship?
Yeah, sure. I will say there is a very clear line of demarcation, right? From the parental perspective and the business perspective, or co-managing her career. Um, at the end of the day, I'm always mama, even when I'm, yeah, obviously on the parental side. But I think that we work so well together from a business perspective because we listen. We understand boundaries. She's very able to articulate her feelings and thoughts about anything we're doing. And what I do appreciate is that in our family, my husband and I do listen to our children and allow them to tell us what they need. So if she's moving forward with some production or project or whatever the case may be, and she's not into it, or it doesn't fit her idea of who she is and what she should be doing, we kind of leave that decision with her and allow her to guide us. There's never any prodding her to do what we want her to do. It's always about what she feels is best for her in terms of her career, as long as it's reasonable, makes sense, and she fully understands the full scope of her decision, of why she's making a decision.
Wow, absolutely. And that leads me to ask another question, if you don't mind. Ms. Mahalia, what is your professional background? I heard so much information, and I heard a lot of things that's not practiced. Definitely when I was growing up, right? I have an opinion. I could not express myself the way that Mallian is able to articulate and express herself, because I was afraid I was being sassy, or I should not express what I'm truly feeling because I didn't think my feelings were valid as a child. So
Right.
is there a background in psychology or education?
Interesting that you asked that. Well, to your point, excuse me, I totally empathize with you because I grew up in a home where, you just didn't talk when adults were talking. You didn't talk back. You didn't really, express yourself for fear of being considered being disrespectful. So that was just not my experience as a child. And so I just knew that with my husband's and my children, we wanted to be a little different from what we had experienced, both he and myself. But I'm very grateful for the upbringing that I did have, because it kind of forged me into the woman that I became. To your question, my professional background is in healthcare. I am a nurse practitioner by training. I have a master's degree in science and a master's degree in business. And so I spend a lot of time with bedside care, taking care of patients, but also in corporate America, managing teams of physicians and nurse practitioners, primarily nurse practitioners. And so I have a lot of experience with, again, talking with and dealing with patients and situations, but also my staff. So I will say this. I still moonlight as a nurse practitioner. I don't think I'll ever cut ties with my love for healthcare and taking care of patients, or even policy. But I am absolutely enjoying this second leg of my journey, having transitioned into and incorporated the entertainment work that I do.
Yes, I find this all to be fascinating, how all the pieces come together. And it's the reason we are here today to discuss this amazing project that you have that debuts or premieres this Saturday. So, Mallian, I'm gonna try to go, back and forth. So I'm gonna come back to you if you don't mind. We talked about how old you are when you started acting. We talked about your first major role. And we also talked about you being on Blackish. So now we want to kind of talk about doing all this in the midst of a pandemic,
Yes.
Pivoting during a pandemic. Can you tell us some of the challenges you faced during this pandemic, and how you, Mallian, were able to overcome those challenges?
Okay, so the main thing that I struggled with during the pandemic is like, when am I gonna get my next audition? When am I gonna get my next role? Like, did the pandemic put everything on pause? Is this done? So that's the main thing that I really, struggled with, that constant thought in my head. But I overcame it by, reminding myself, like, Mallian, no matter what obstacles come your way, if this is what it's meant for you, which I believe it is, it's gonna happen no matter what comes your way. So you know what I mean? So I just kept my head up, kept myself motivated, stayed on my P's and Q's, and just worked on my craft. So And instead of having to get ready, I'd already be ready when the pandemic starts to slow down, or hopefully one day it stops.
Right. I'd like to weigh in on that too.
Yes, please.
There was definitely, I'm going to use the word fixation for lack of a better term, but there was a fixation on her part on what was going to happen next. So we are planners and doers, and we like to, have a system in place. And so there was always, we believe, some semblance of expectancy, because we just kind of knew the flow of things. So when the pandemic hit, I think that the all of the uncertainty coupled together just caused a bit of angst that we had not seen in her. And I think one of the things that kind of triggered that for her is that she had recently booked an ABC show, a big role. And when the pandemic kind of reached its height, we received news that production had been released. It was a pilot. And so I think that, that did create that bit of trepidation in her. And that's when I made the decision as her mom and being someone who's helping to manage and mold her, to get busy creating and producing and building her muscle, so that when the market does open back up, she'd be ready. And that's exactly what we did.
Absolutely. That's amazing to be able to regroup, re-strategize, and get back in the game, even if it means coming in from another direction or taking another angle. So I want to talk about learning new skills. I've talked to many actors who had to learn how to do things on their own. I don't know if you already knew how to self-tape, or did you have to learn any new skills? Like, did you have to be more hands-on and involved in your audition process, considering that everything was going to be self-taped? Was that something you already kind of had down packed, or you had to learn?
Well, it definitely was something that I kind of already had in the bag, just like sharpening up on other things like piano, singing, dancing, to be prepared for whatever call came in for me. But the pandemic definitely did give me time to kind of sharpen up more on those types of things, because, the pandemic, things were slowing down, so we had a lot of free time. So I decided to, take advantage of that free time, so I would, stay sharp and, stay on my P's and Q's like I previously stated.
Yeah. Okay. And I want to talk about some of your other endeavors. So, Mallian, when it comes down to business, obviously it's a family affair, right? In fact, you've co-executive produced a feature film with your parents that premieres on December 11th. Can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about the film, whatever you can tell us?
Of course, yeah. So it's a project that my mom and I created together. She came up with the idea first, and we just decided to start building off. Do I tell her the full scope of things?
Just 30,000 foot view.
Yeah, so we decided to start building off of it until it became the project that it is now. And it's about a young girl, me, River Daniels, who discovers that she has, these weird things happening to her that are powers. And she has been dealing with them and dealing with them and dealing with them. And she decides, you know what, I should probably go to my mom about this, because I don't know what else I'm supposed to do.
And cut. So we are, because I think she was about to give it all away. So it is a coming of age story of a girl who is kind of realizing that she has, some superhuman things going on with her, and she's kind of at a crossroads and has a dilemma. She's trying to figure out, should she, deal with this on her own, or should she invite her parents in, disclose what's happening to her, and kind of figure this out as a unit, which is what they historically do. And it's in, close alignment with how Team Butler is what we affectionately label ourselves as, but it's very close proximity to what we do on a regular basis. So there are a lot of dynamics in the film. It's culturally diverse. We do like that, but we do have a predominantly Black cast. And what I absolutely love about the film is we went with a lot of Dallas-based talent.
Yes.
And that was one of my goals. I really, really wanted to tap into the Dallas talent pool, and I am so grateful that I did. I met some amazing people.
That is absolutely amazing. I was able to read that, and that really touched my heart. A lot of times when you're dealing with productions like this, people want to go straight to LA and straight to Atlanta. those markets, and you made a commitment to your hometown and to your hometown people, and really get to shine the light on some amazing Dallas talent. And I'm so excited to see the film. And if I remember reading correctly, one of your goals or your goal and aspiration is to eventually build a studio here, production.
I would absolutely, I don't know that I shared that, but I would, that's absolutely what we aim to do. We want to do that, and started having some dialogue about it earlier this year. So we'll see what the next 2 to 3 years hold for us. We've got some very, very extremely aggressive goals. But I will tell you, in the pipeline immediately, we have 5 films that we're planning to produce in 2022. And I'm working with some amazing people, one of which happens to be best-selling novelist Brian W. Smith. We've partnered up on a couple of things. He's got, I believe, in his catalog 36 best-selling novels. So if he's gracious enough, maybe one day we can produce one of his as well. But we are establishing great, great, fantastic relationships with amazing people in the industry.
Eric and Mallian, you co-author, or are you the author? Tell us about the book.
Okay, so my mom and I'm the co-author. We created a book, a children's lesson book, kind of, called Nora's Misguided Adventures. And it's just a book teaching children, the basic rules of life, and to, teach them how to be good people. Like, it's nice to be nice and things of that nature. And I know those kind of sound like the cliche things that everyone says, but it's very true. And it's definitely things that children need to grow up learning about and knowing about. So the funny thing is, when I was 5 years old, I created these little characters called Tracky and To Do, and they were like two completely opposites. To Do, like to-do list, is neat and has everything in order, and Trashy just messes everything up. So one day my mom was like, Mallian, you remember those characters that you came up with when you were like 5? And I go, yeah, I remember them. And she was like, I feel like we should do something with that. So we started brainstorming, and we took advantage of it, and we decided, let's turn this into a children's book. We could actually do something with this. So after a bunch of hard work and blood, sweat, and tears, we put together this amazing product. We put together this beautiful book that's now on Amazon.
Yes.
We have a paperback copy, and we have an ebook version. So please go out and support that and buy that. Just key in Mallian Butler on Amazon, and you should find it. And it's just a very beautiful book that I feel like is going to teach children a lot of great things.
And I want to weigh in on that because there is a backstory to Nora's Misguided Adventures. We initially intended for it to be an animated series, and so our original production was called, or is called, Legitimately Mallian, and we produced it in 2019 as a film. We shelved it at the height of the pandemic, and then we brought it back as an episodic podcast series in 2020 September. 11 full episodes done in 11 weeks. And we used a lot of Dallas talent for that as well. Phenomenal, loved it. And so, after we finished with that, we thought, I thought about Nora's Misguided Adventure and the fact that, Mallian presented this beautiful, creative idea to me as a 5-year-old little girl. And I thought, we're gonna just kind of file that away in the mental Rolodex, and we'll get back to it. But I don't ever want to lose these characters; they're too cute. And so we were going to move forward with the animated series, and I kind of had to make a decision. There were competing ideas on the table, and so it was either we move forward with the podcast series or the animated series, and we decided to go with the podcast series, which I'm very, very glad that we did. So as we moved into 20 and 21, we had started to work on some other things, and I thought, I've got a little downtime here. We've got about 4 to 6 weeks. How about we kind of dig into the book? And that's what we did. And she and I worked together, and she, brought a lot of the ideas and the concepts to me. Excuse me. And the rest is history.
Absolutely amazing. I am just sitting here taking it all in. What a beautiful sight to see mom and daughter, side by side, breaking barriers, creating legacies, doing amazing things. I am just blown away. So, Mallian, what keeps you grounded? I know you talked a little bit about the Zen earlier today. What do you do for fun? What are your hobbies? What are your interests? How do you stay so grounded in the midst of all of this amazingness?
So mainly what keeps me grounded is definitely my family and my close friends, and the love that I have for them and the love that they have for me in return. That definitely keeps me grounded. And another thing that keeps me grounded is just like being an inspiration to everyone else, and the people who look up to me and what I do, and making sure I'm a role model and staying positive and inspiring people to keep their heads up and follow their dreams. I feel like those are the main things that keep me grounded.
Absolutely.
And I have quite a few things that I do for fun, honestly. So over the pandemic, I picked up a love for painting, mainly abstract paintings, which I just find so calming and therapeutic. It's really really nice, and I like to bake, and I like to go for drives and spend time outside in my backyard, just sit and read a book. So many different things. So those are definitely the things that I really enjoy doing. So yeah, that's
Awesome. Who's on the top of your playlist? Who are you listening to right now, or what are you listening to right now?
okay. So let me tell you, I'm what you call a lover of music. I have a wide range variety. So as long as it sounds good, I'll listen to it. But at the top of my list right now would probably be Sam Smith. I just really like the style of his music, and he's got this one song called "My Oasis" that I've been listening to like on repeat every single day on the way to school. So it's definitely my favorite right now.
All right. And what are your goals for the next phase of your career? So right now you're wearing the executive producer hat. What are your goals after this project is done? It's premiering on Saturday. What's next for Mallian?
Okay, so I have a lot of big dreams and goals. So my main goals are to land a series regular lead role on a television series or a movie, and I also want to work with my mom a little bit more with creating projects and producing some more films and things of that nature. I've gotten into screenwriting, so hopefully you guys will hear a bit more about that very soon.
Yes.
So yeah, those are a few of my goals, and I definitely am claiming that those are going to come into fruition.
Oh, absolutely. The power of manifestation is real, and you clearly shared that with us today by telling us your story and how you got cast for Blackish. So, Melanie, do you have any words of wisdom, any words for advice? Many of us have children, nieces, and nephews who are trying to make their way into the industry. And if you could just share any words of encouragement or advice, that would be most helpful.
Of course. So the main thing I want to say is to keep your head up, stay motivated no matter what. Because in this industry, the main thing that you're going to need is motivation from yourself, mainly internal motivation, and to always keep a positive mindset and just know deep in your heart, like, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to go for it no matter what gets in my way. And always stay true to yourself, stay humble, stay grounded, and know that you got this.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, Mahalia, I actually asked you a few of the questions that I was going to get to. We talked about your professional background, and we talked about how you navigate the dynamics of the mom and daughter relationship and a professional relationship. Um, and I want to talk about something else here. So, since the midst of the pandemic, we've had to rely on our family more than ever. Whether it was because of the scarcity of resources or the lack of availability of others, the pandemic has required us to adjust in so many ways. How did you and your family successfully produce a film, write a book, and Mallian continue to act in the midst of all of this? So what were the components that kept everything going?
Let me just say, and this might sound a bit interesting, but I think you guys will get it. But the pandemic for us was certainly a blessing and a curse, because when it was at its height, or it was starting to trend upward, those cases and the word pandemic was swirling, and there was a lot of uncertainty and certainly a lot of fear. Mallian and I at the time were still living full time in LA at our condo, and my husband and our son my husband was here, and our son was in Washington, D.C. at Howard University. He's a junior in college at the time. And what we were very clear on at that point was that we did not want to quarantine separately. So our son had an opportunity to return home and finish his semester, remotely. And Mallian and I, my husband, made the decision with me that we should all come home and quarantine together. And that's what we did. We came home and we just took a moment to reset and appreciate the opportunity to fellowship every day like we had always done, but had not been able to do in recent years because our family had been split due to decisions to pursue different careers. So I think that we managed to do it because we are very, very clear on our goals and our dreams, and we work very well synergistically together, and there's never a power struggle, from the parental heads. My husband and I, we are an excellent team, and we've learned how to listen to our kids and what our kids need as well. So, I mean, I talked earlier about them having a voice and our being open to hearing what they have to say, but not only that, but being responsive to what they're saying. But it just kind of took all of us working together in tandem toward a common goal. And I think that during the pandemic, we were probably more productive in pursuing our goals and executing them than we had been in quite a while. All of us.
Absolutely, absolutely amazing. And it has been a blessing to many of us, when we sit back and look at it. You said it's a blessing and a curse, but there are so many beautiful stories and so many projects and so many films and so many dreams that I've seen that have been revived.
It absolutely forced us to think outside of the box, lean back and be more creative, and continue to kind of make ourselves as marketable as we can be in our space. But we just weren't going to, fall back and just play the victim role, because there were so many opportunities to grow and improve and evolve. So we chose to evolve. And so as a result, we did, produce a film, and we did produce a podcast series, a full series, and we did write a book, and decided about a production studio in Dallas, and just so many things. And so I'm super excited about, what did happen during that terrible, terrible time. But I'm even more excited about the things that are in the near future that we expect to come to fruition as a result of our commitment when things were so dark.
Yes. A beautiful, beautiful statement there. I want to talk a little bit about education. I heard you mention you have a son away at school at Howard. And Mallian, you're pursuing a career in the entertainment industry. And Mahalia, is college still something that is recommended for Mallian despite her success in the entertainment industry?
We are actually absolutely, obviously, she's a mother who has 2 master's degrees, so I do believe in education, formal education. However, I think we're going to allow her, what she's doing in her career, to dictate the path she takes in terms of traditional methods of becoming educated, higher learning. But we definitely know that she does want to, pursue a college, degree.
Yes.
It just might not be the conventional way. It just depends on what she's doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
I just wish that was an option. I'm sitting here and I'm looking and I'm listening to you, and I remember wanting to major in theater.
Fun.
When I grew up, my mom was like nursing, let's see, anything business, accounting.
Yes.
I ended up, she let me, and I majored in communication. So it just really, made me think. And I also read here in your bio that you do attend a performing arts school. I too wanted to go to a performing arts school, but in like most urban areas and inner cities, the performing arts school is way across town. I would have had to take 2 buses. I'm just thinking how difficult it was in my time to be an artsy kid or a creative, but afraid to express that because I had parents that were a little more strict. And I just wanted to know, had you always been in performing arts school from from the beginning, or was this something that changed throughout the duration of her education?
Right.
It is something that changed over the duration of my education. I just started attending this performing arts school freshman year of high school, and I'm definitely loving it so much. You know, I can be at school but still pursue my dream of acting. You know, by being in my theater classes and participating in all sorts of things like that. So I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And I've managed to maintain being an honor student, which I'm very proud of myself for. Because you know, like especially at the beginning of the pandemic when I was still a freshman, times were tough. I was doing school online. I'm in person now. I was doing school online. You know, things were difficult. So I'm definitely proud of myself for still managing to keep my grades up there. You know, during these stressful times.
Yeah, she has an incredible schedule, and we have to be on top of it every single day. We don't miss a beat. We run a tight ship here. But I have to acknowledge her for, you know, number one, being one of the hardest working teens I've ever encountered. And I don't say that, you know, because I'm attempting to be biased. Obviously, I'm not, but it's just a fact. You know, this young lady of mine does maintain AB principal scholar and deals with a ton of, or manages, I wouldn't say deals with, because it's such a privilege and an honor to receive an audition, but she manages her work schedule. And when it's time to go, you know, we pack up and we do what we need to do. So I definitely commend her for all that she's doing and how well she's handling it all.
Absolutely amazing. And Mahalia, I have a question for Melissa. Do you feel attending a performance art school provides you with more access to information to pursue what you love, Mallian?
Oh yes, definitely, definitely. I have a really great theater program at my school that I go to, and you know, we do a lot of monologues and scene study and things of that nature. We receive really great notes to really unlock, you know, our creative minds and to get our creative juices flowing. And I can definitely apply to my auditions at home when it comes to the LA market and the actual entertainment industry.
And I will say she's also involved in creative writing, and that has been a really beneficial experience for her. I've just noticed such a huge improvement in the quality of the product she's writing, and I think I can attribute that to her doing that particular course. So I'm excited about that and to see what the end result will be by the end of the year. Yeah. There's a question for us, I see.
Yeah, this one is from Jeanette. What was it like working on Blackish with Tracy Ellis Ross? I love her.
Oh my goodness. Everybody on the set was so lovely. But I loved Tracy. Like just how she is on screen, that's exactly how she is behind the camera. She's so sweet and so encouraging and authentically herself. And, you know, if I had a question or if I needed help with something, she was right there, you know, to guide me through it. And she made sure that I had a great time on set. So she was just an amazing person to be around. She's really great.
And I think the second time we returned to the set of Blackish, she actually worked with Tracy Ellis, Anthony Anderson, and Miles. And they are absolutely class acts. Marseille, everybody class acts.
Absolutely amazing. Jeanette also says, I was told to teach and not pursue entertainment. I wish I would have followed my dreams younger. And she says that she applauds you, Mallian. And I applaud you, as mom, to allow your daughter to express herself creatively and to make that executive decision. I'm sure you and your husband and your family, okay, let's pull her out of regular school. Let's get her over here. This is what she wants to do. This is her path. And, you know, and I just sit and I think about that. Wow. You know, where would I be? Jeanette's probably thinking the same had we had a different approach and really being those artsy kids. And, you know, it was just a little bit different in our day. And it's just so refreshing to see Mallian have the opportunity to blossom in her career and express her creativity through the arts. It's a beautiful thing, and I can't wait to continue to watch, you know, your progress and see what other endeavors you're going to, you know, partake in. This is just amazing. I'm just reading through to see if we have any other questions from our audience today. I'm going to take a moment to scroll here. See. Love the vision and focus. Oh, Melissa says, love the vision and focus. So let me see what other questions I have. And
I think you did have a question about what my husband does.
I did. I was just curious if I didn't know if that was too invasive, but I was like so amazed by how you were working as a unit.
Yeah.
And it's so structured. And I'm just like intuitively, I'm like, she either does something in psychology, which I was close
Yes.
in the health field, and I'm like, somebody else is the business person and the mastermind, you know?
Yes. Well, so I'm the business person too, but my husband is indeed the business person. He co-owns a commercial masonry and construction company called Butler and Butler Construction and several other businesses. He co-owns that with his brother, Kevin Butler, and they've been in business well over 10 years and they are wildly successful. That's the term I'm electing to use.
Yes.
But they are by all means a very successful reputable organization based right here in the Dallas, Texas area. And they've, just expanded and grown so much over the course of the past 10 to 12 years. And it's just, certainly as a wife and sister-in-law, it's an honor watching what he's done and what he and his brother have been able to accomplish over these past several years.
That's absolutely amazing. I am just blown away by how all of the components, how everything works together, and how you're able to do this, and how important family is, and how important it is to work together cohesively as a unit, and how listening, communication, but not only communication, you have to be able to comprehend as well what is being communicated and execute effectively. And your family has demonstrated that by the amazing endeavors that you have here now in the present, and more to come in the future. This is amazing. Melissa has another question. Well, a question, and then, okay. My daughter used to do stand-up comedy, but anxiety has set in. Do you have any advice, Mallian, for those creatives who struggle with anxiety?
I definitely do have advice for all of those who also struggle with anxiety, because I myself struggle with anxiety as well. It's definitely a real thing, and it's definitely something that is something that you're going to deal with being in the entertainment industry. But just know that you got this. This is what you're meant to do, and like, to push anxiety aside, and you have to realize, like, this is my passion. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm not going to let anything get in my way, no matter how intense it is. You know what I mean? So just always remember, like, this is your moment. This is what you're supposed to be doing, and you need to own it.
And I'll just add, if I could piggyback on that, just from a healthcare perspective, what I would say, just in kind of watching how anxiety kind of reared its ugly head during the pandemic for several people that I know and in several families. And kind of, as Mallian said, she dealt with a little of that as well. What I did find to be hugely beneficial is introduction of therapy. And sometimes it's just a matter of talking to a professional to better understand or get to the heart of what's causing the anxiety. And then I think once you identify that, you can better deal with the issue and then move on so that it doesn't kind of command your life and dictate what you are or are not able to do. So I'm a strong proponent for a good therapist.
And thank you for that, to state that you are, strong advocate for therapy. And I just want to be clear, that's for children,
yes,
for women,
yes,
for men, it's for everyone.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. And I think that, with the onset of the pandemic and the fact that it's gone so, it's lasted, I think, a lot longer than anyone anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
I think, uncertainty breeds anxiety, it breeds a certain degree of things. And, some people, I think, are able to deal with it naturally. They find a release, but some people are not. They don't know. Some of them don't even know that there's a name for what they're dealing with. And so, my heart goes out to those people, but certainly if there's an opportunity to talk with someone, I'm always going to make that recommendation.
Absolutely. And I just read an article, an unfortunate article, that suicide and depression is the highest right now amongst our youth. It's a heartbreaking statistic.
Right.
So if you are listening to us tonight and what Mahalia is saying, get therapy, not only for yourself, for your children, your husband, it's for everybody, regardless of your color, your background, religion, and all of that. It does not matter.
Right.
Go and talk to someone. We definitely want to reduce the unfortunate events that we've been seeing here in recent headlines as it relates to school shootings, to
Yes.
and to suicide. We have to, as parents, if we're seeing some signs and symptoms in our children and we're not able to help them, please take the time to get them the help that they need. There are EAP resources available. You can call your employer to inquire about those. And if you have insurance, you can also reach out to the number on the back of your card to see what behavioral health services you have for yourself and your family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if I could just round back to one of the things you mentioned earlier, one of the questions you raised, it was about, how we as a family unit, kind of managed during the pandemic and managed to kind of keep it all together. And, I think it's important for me to mention, but we are a unit and we understand that, and everyone has a job to do. We all have a role. And we put a certain amount of pressure on each other, because what we're very clear about is, if one part of the unit does not function, the other parts are affected and we can't do what we need to do. And I think that because everyone very clearly understands what that means, we consistently do what we must do to continue moving forward. So I think for any families, out there who are listening, and you're considering doing taking on something as daunting a task as moving into the entertainment industry, for example, or starting a new business venture, you need all hands on deck. And it just becomes a much easier process, a much more seamless transition if you've got the support of everyone who's in your main unit.
What you just said is invaluable and so necessary. I hope that everyone, I hope they replay this and really listen to the importance of knowing your role within the dynamics and executing to the best of your ability.
Absolutely.
And if you cannot, then of course you're going to get help. That nugget just hit me right in my soul. I don't know if you ever plan on doing workshops or sharing this wealth of knowledge to the masses, because there are so many families that are working, but they're working in fragments and they're not working cohesive. And I don't know what the root cause is. Maybe that's something we can delve into deeper another day, but there are just so many fragmented families. They have the same goal and they want to ultimately reach success, but they're not moving in a way that is cohesive for that goal.
Right.
You're doing it and you have the blueprint for that. And that's amazing. And it works.
It does work. We're proof that it does.
Yes. Absolutely. I am just amazed and just taking it all in. That really just really hit home. And it's invaluable information that we all can take with us and apply it to whatever it is. We may not want to executive produce a film, but a family may want to start a business. You may want to invest in real estate. Whatever the case is, do it together. Right. We're stronger in numbers.
Great. I agree. We're about to take this another direction.
No, I said, wait, let me pull it back. I just get this is.
I appreciate your passion.
This is what we need. I'm checking in the audience here for more questions, and then what if we don't have any? We could definitely wrap it up until next time. I want to talk a little bit more about the premiere. I do have some information in regards to that I want to share with our audience and where the premiere is going to be, and that's at the beautiful Angelica Theater, and that's this Saturday, December the 11th, 2021, the premiere of P.O.W.E.R's Book 1, ladies and gentlemen. I am so excited for that. And let me just scroll one more scroll before we go. If we don't have any other questions, I'm if you want to tell us about tickets, if you want to tell us about the attire, and let us know if you're sold out. I'm over here broadcasting and telling everyone to show up. So please let us know more about Saturday's premiere.
Thank you so much. Well, firstly, I appreciate you for speaking about it. We do want more people to know about it, and we are not sold out. There are still tickets left. We've been kind of doing a social media campaign, a blast campaign today, and we will be doing so up to Saturday. I will point out that some media outlets are going to cover the event between tomorrow and Saturday, so I think more tickets might go as a result of that. But I think that what our guests can expect, and I did post about this today, is to come out and have a beautiful time. We've got a director of photography on deck. We've got red carpet. We've got a professional photographer. We're going to do a beautiful toast and have cake and a beautiful QA session after. You should wear, come dressed to impress is what I've been telling everyone. So cocktail attire is fine, but if you want to don a gown and, really come out and show us something, we're perfectly fine with that. But the most important thing is to just come and expect a fellowship with a beautiful group of people and meet some folks, get some networking done, and enjoy this beautiful film with us.
Absolutely. What a pleasure. And before we get out of here, I want to ask one more question. You did talk about you have some films in the works that will be debuting and some projects in 2022. Well, here, Ladies in Film and Television, there are tons of actors and actresses, aspiring production assistants, and just all people interested in all facets of film. Where will we be able to find information about auditions and for production opportunities? Could you just kind of give us a little insight so we'll keep an eye out for that?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that. I will tell you, I am so thankful to be a part and to have found this organization. You guys have been so supportive in such a short period of time. So I think you'll always be one of the organizations you know first. But for those who don't know about this organization, certainly you can find it on the Axiom Talent Management and Productions Facebook page. The Instagram page will always post updates and casting notices there. Or check out our website. We have all of our information there. The projects we're working on, things that are in the works. That website address is www.atmprod.com. So that's Axiom Talent Management Productions.com, atmprod.com. You can also inbox us on social media. I am Mahalia Jackson-Butler on Facebook and Instagram. Mallian can be found as Mallian Butler on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I think you probably know that if you inbox me, there's a good chance I'm going to respond. So certainly reach out, but follow us on those platforms. Check out our website to stay up to date with what we're working on.
And thank you so much. And Mahalia Jackson-Butler, I have to ask you this question. Are you named after gospel royalty?
Yeah.
I had to ask. I said I wasn't going to do it. I said I could not leave. I grew up in Church of God in Christ, and I said Mahalia Jackson-Butler, is she named after gospel royalty, the Mahalia Jackson?
Absolutely. My dad is her self-proclaimed #1 fan. He's a minister of music, Charles Jackson, out of Macomb, Mississippi. He's been playing for over 40 years. And so I grew up as a little, girl, 5 years old, singing Mahalia Jackson songs in my big girl voice. So I did grow up in the church singing and leading in the choir. It was, but I can tell you that name is gotten me roasted quite a few times as a kid. I can tell you that.
Well, it definitely stands out. I was not going to leave today.
I appreciate the question.
That question. What a pleasure it was to hang out with you both, Mallian and Ms. Mahalia Jackson-Butler. Thank you so much for your time this evening. I wish you the best in all of your endeavors, both now and in the future.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. And thank you all so much for joining us on our Member Spotlight segment tonight. If you're interested in joining Ladies in Film and Television, please head over to our website. That's ladiesinfilm.com. Once again, that's www.ladiesinfilm.com. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.